curses, paralyzes, it poisons. I haven't actually had her to test it out, but I wanted to see like on trials such as like the Maxwell, where they have certain moves. Like Maxwell, I think at her 50%, or maybe it's 30%. But you know what would happen if you used her UBB then, if she's the ultimate trial unit to protect you, better than like Magrus's take one hit damage. I think she's a super OP. I could see her even working in arena, especially in arena now that Selena's out. Because once she paralyzes and or curses Selena, it's pretty much over. So I would personally give her a.
All right. So, in a situation like Cardes, where you need to bring a unit that gives, status ailments against that pesky Luther, do you think that Tora does her job well? And I was told by Tyler that the ultimate Brave Burst was 5 to 10 battle crystals. I think that sounds a lot more reasonable since ultimate Brave Bursts are supposed to be special. But Tora's SBB adds curse, paralysis, poison, and weakness to the attack. So what do you think about that, Doc?
Obviously, she's the best pick if you want to deal or dish out the status alignments. But personally, I don't really like that. Obviously, you need it for some trials, but when I got Naimika, I was like, yeah, well, I will level her up for that special use when she will be used for that. And then we got the Halloween Dark unit that was even better. I was like, yeah, well, I'll level it up as well. And I didn't really use her that much. For Cardes trial, I actually used the let's fast kill it with the Maxwell because that sounds so ridiculous. I gotta try it method, and it worked. For the actually, at one point came up to I still have to do the Grand Jelly. Haven't done it yet. Bring Oboho. In regards of poison, he's even better than Naimika and Samira. So I think it's Samira, isn't it? And it's like I never really use that stuff. It might be useful in raids. Yeah, I agree on that. But as far as I remember from Japan, I haven't actually used it there as well. I don't really. It's a thing to use that I personally don't really care a lot about. Obviously, her UBB is a lot of fun because of a lot of BBs you got back, and for 3 turns you add all on the status element. So it's not usually you paralyze somebody, yeah, it's for 1 turn and then it's gone. So you get the 100% for everything for 3 turns. So you can basically say, yeah, for 3 turns we are fine. Usually UBB get up, it's like, as far as I know, 5 turns, so you can't spam that really. But you still got then the chance of her SBB doing stuff and her additional fact conditions that work with it. So she's really good in regards to that, but it's just that I personally probably wouldn't use her a lot, even though I got her. Or if I got her, I wouldn't use her a lot because it's like, yeah, 18 drop checks on her SBB. That's nice, but nothing I would really use in a BB spam team. It's just a nice, it's not high enough to be worth it. So I would probably still bring a unit that adds in more. And personally, I gotta say the only really good stuff about her, I think, is her artwork. I really like this dark toned earth, like thorn ranks in the background. That's really awesome. But for her use, I probably would level her up, have her sit around and not use her a lot because she wouldn't fit in my common team, so that I use a lot. And so it's probably not really worth getting her. At least I wouldn't spend additional gems just to get her. That's not worth it. I would give her as an overall condition B+ once again. So it's not. Yeah, she's a nice to have unit. Obviously 7-star stats, but nothing where I would say like, yeah, awesome, I won't have it. It's just like, yeah, she's good at what she does, but that what she does doesn't really excite me at all.
Well, what if I told you, Doc, that Tora was actually voted by quite a few people to be the #1 unit for Metal Rush in all cases, because her leader skill provides, random status elements infliction. In addition to that, her extra skill does that as well, and if you do need to give your entire team another chance to inflict status ailments, you have her SVB on top of that. So, in my experience, when I did Metal Rush, I used double Tora lead, and I finished in about 5 minutes for Metal Rush because it did 300k damage each turn for poison, which was quite a lot. And I think Tora's main role is as that Metal Rush raid lead. I'm not quite sure about other cases where you would need status ailment infliction as much, but if you ask me, Tora is the best at what she does overall for the team in that case. So there is a use for her in my eyes, and I'm actually quite interested in testing her out in Arena because, as you guys know, I'm crazy. I don't do the typical Arena style battles that you're used to seeing. I'm more of a defensive Arena opponent, so adding in a Tora and possibly a Selena to my team to replace my lens, I'd like to see how that works out as well.
Yeah, I agree on the fact with the Metal Rush and Arena as well. The thing is, when it comes to Tora and I think about how much gems do I probably spend to get one, is that worth just for Metal Rush? I personally had to say no. I could still use a free farmable Oboro, probably take a little bit more time in the Metal Rush itself, but don't spend like 100 gems for an average chance to get her, something like that. So it's, yeah, she has a use, but spending like with the amount of gems you have to spend her, I wouldn't say she's actually worth it just to get her for that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, if you pull a Tora, if you don't pull one, you shouldn't be too upset at it. She's still a 7-star, but in terms of role, she's one of the more, I'd say, niche kind of units, where if you don't have status ailment, this unit is definitely the best for that, and hopefully we'll see that in the future in use for Tora. So, we've reviewed the first half of the 7-star Rare Sun batch. If you ask me, these 3 units, overall, I think, compared to the next 3, are slightly less important. Because, as you've heard from us, these units are, like, good, but you have to be in like very certain specific situations to use them in. So the next unit we have up is my favorite of this entire batch, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because he's the leader of the Guardian Nation. That's right, it's big bad Kanon himself. So Thunder units, if you asked me prior to Kanon, I would have never thought that Thunder would really have, that kind of defensive style. Thunder was really more about just doing damage. Even on mitigation, Shara gives an attack buff, so I wasn't really, looking for Thunder units to be the main source of like defense. And then this unit came along, and I was proven completely wrong. So Doc, since I know you have a Kanon, why don't you tell everybody how great Kanon is?
Praise the Thunder Kanon! Well, the thing is, you just mentioned we reached the more rated or better rated half of the batch, and I got 3 units from the batch, and none of them came up yet. So I'm into the part of the batch where I'm really happy. And Kanon, my personal ratings for this batch I did some time ago, based from the stuff I know from Japan. At that point, I actually rated Fever higher than Kanon. Right now, I would probably switch that around. I got a Kanon. He was the first from the batch I maxed out, and it's like I like him. He's probably not the there could be better improvements on him. For example, his extra skill, I use him as the leader, and therefore his leader skill renders his extra skill completely useless. No thing, you just can't use it because you already got it from the leader skill, and it renders his SVB and BB status immunity things useless as well. But it's just, for me, a lot of him is a change in stuff you can do. For a long time, we played in either OTK or BB spam. That's what you did. And especially for things like questing and raids, it's like focused on BB spamming over and over again. And Kanon brings up what I would probably see as a new meta in some regards, the part where you go onto, or where you need to bring more than just single mitigation for a turn. Back in the days, we started, we got mitigation, we don't need it yet in every base. And then Darwin Shell came up and people started like, yeah, BB spamming with the mitigation unit, because we need it. And then Shira came along, and it's typically a common thing to have a mitigator in your BB spam team. And because you would just not survive stuff like Frontier Hunter without a mitigator. And the next thing that will come, and people probably don't want that to come out, it will come, is that a mitigator is not good enough. That you need either more mitigation or something else. More mitigation, we already talked about Zedus and the possibility of him adding in the 50% decreased attack with 50% chance. It's not a guaranteed thing, but it's a possibility. And Kanon is the other way, where you increase your own HP to an amount that you could still survive an enemy attack with mitigation because you got enough HP, and in addition to that, a lot of death. And I really like that as a start of this thing. He, as I mentioned, could be better in regards of extra skill and all the status nullifying that it's a little bit redundant. But basically, his just spamming SBB, death increase 140%, that's really a lot. No problem with it. He does a lot of damage, 90 drop checks, not the best, but still usable. And just his leader skill, 30% more HP on all of your units, 30% more death. It's not the highest death, but just the HP, 30% is so huge. Just having my team around, and people are like, what? The lowest stuff I can find is 11k HP. No problem. Just put on good spheres on everybody and you're right. You will be fine with that. And I personally really like that. I would give him an A+. Definitely my favorite in this batch. And in addition to that, just for being really useful, I think it's like the best looking one as well. In-game, he floats a little bit, so I had to move him to the back of my squad because he would otherwise hide the whole squad behind his wings. Which on the one hand is awesome, but you want to see the rest as well. It's like, overall, he's really good looking. It's a really cool design. I really like that, of like this heavy armored angel. Like, I'm really happy with him. I got him as an anima, which thanks to that is probably my favorite typing as well. Obviously, you could use Guardian and you would have like incredibly high death amounts with that. It's like 2.85k. It's like just ridiculous. But personally, the attack would be a little bit too low for me to be like, alright. So I would still say Anima, because I use him for the high HP on his leader skill, and mine has a little bit above average HP as Anima as well. So I'm like, yeah, adding in more HP with the HP meta thingy, it's like, yeah, I want that. And I still keep a little bit of attack just to do some damage. And yeah, overall, awesome unit, A+. If you got one, praise the Thunder Kanon.
Alright, so it seems like Doc rates this unit very highly and is very excited to use Kanon. What do you think about this unit, Sadiq?
Personally, in this batch, I think he's one of the most usefulness. I know Tyler has him on JP, and he has just base over 5,000 defense, so he's the ultimate tank. I don't like his extra skill because it's kind of redundant for like everything he does, but his leader skill is super OP for the extra HP and the status element. And his UBB2 introduced a multiple turn mitigation, which is useful as well, so you won't have to have your Darwin Shell or your Shira getting BB/SPB every turn in trials. I could even he's especially useful in raids, I could even see him being used in arena sometimes for just his crazy defense. With that defense sphere that we have in global,